Totally cool. Totally cool.
I'm already. Welcome back, everybody, to the Creative Cosplay Corner. I am Cable Rose, your host and Uber fan, a fan of all things cosplay. Today, we're coming from the West Coast. We have a casual cosplayer, so I appreciate Lucy being on the show today, and we have SCIFI.GINGER that we're going to bring on and introduce. We've got a little bit of a theme back here we're going to talk about, but we want to see a little bit about Lucy and see kind of how she got into cosplay. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
Might be your first time. I don't know how many interviews you go through for your cosplay.
This is my first time doing an interview that isn't like an on the spot at a con thing. So this is definitely foreign to me.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you being here. So do us a favor. How did you get into cosplay?
Well, I got into cosplay, I guess, like 15 years ago now. Ooh, that seems like a long time. I grew up super nerdy in a really small town, and so when we started to see stuff like Gaia Online and DeviantArt become things, I was super into those, and I started meeting people on there who are also nerds, and they were all in costume, so I wanted to be in costume, and yeah, it just kind of happened. It was like kind of a natural hobby for me to take up. My mom is a seamstress, so I had already been making most of my own clothes and stuff, so it just seemed like a thing to do, and I've just been doing it ever since.
So as we came on earlier, I showed the background here because we have kind of a theme. And I know you've got a little bit of diversity, but I wanted to kind of go with these. How did you get into the DC world, or what is it about the DC world?
I kind of reluctantly got into DC because I'm very obsessive, as I think most cosplayers are, super obsessive into things. When I'm a fan of something, I have to know everything about it. Which was the reason that I never got into comics, because I've never read Marvel comics, but I mean DC is a nightmare. It just you can never know everything about it. So people have been trying to get me into it for a long time, and I was like, no, it will ruin my life. Don't do this to me. And then one time I sat down and it was Young Justice on Netflix, and I was like, okay, I will watch one DC thing so that people can stop bugging me about it. And now we're here. now it's just my entire life.
And now you're
exactly
hooked.
What I said would happen. Yeah.
Okay,
so wonderful. DC is just.
I'm a DC guy, so I appreciate the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I appreciate what they do. I'm a Batman guy. Where is he? Right here. This is my boy right here. I'm a big Batman fan. However, I have to tell you, and I hope that we can share this with the world, your appreciation for maybe lesser known DC characters, and you and I are going to connect because one of my favorite characters is over your right shoulder. I think that's Booster Gold back there.
Yes.
So I want to start with you as a Booster Gold because do you play any tabletop games? Are you a tabletop gamer?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Hero Clothes?
Yes, and I have the blue and bold. I have blue and gold, of course. I haven't painted them yet, but they're sitting on my desk.
So I'm all about some Booster Gold. So when I saw this in your IG, I was like, I got to talk to her about it. So please tell me, how come Booster Gold?
So, the first character in the DC universe I really connected to was Jaime Reyes, who was the third Blue Beetle. So I read his entire series first. That was the first series that I sat down and read from beginning to end. The 2009 series, not the New 52 stuff.
Okay. That's another story. That's another
thing. That's another video. But so I read all of Jaime Reyes, which led me to reading all of Ted Kord, which brought me to Booster Gold. And once I read his, I think it's called the 52 Pickup series from 2006, immediately following Infinite Crisis.
Yes.
So I guess 2009. Yeah, once I read that series, I was like, this is my boy. This is my boy forever. He's just so well done.
So I'm going to have to tag my buddy into this video because as we play our tabletops, I have a Booster Gold that is just, he's my beast. He's a perfect addition piece to any team, but he just ruins my buddy. And so as soon as I saw this, I really appreciated your Booster Gold as a maybe lesser known character. I thought you really pulled this off, and I love the mashup of how you pulled this character together.
you so much. That's probably my favorite costume to wear at the moment, so that's really nice.
Okay, then I'm glad that we had that there to speak on. But there's another one in here you said DC, because DC is much darker than anything Marvel that I know of, and there is a character that you pulled off quite well, and I want to talk about your Red Hood.
Yes. It's so funny because this cosplay is actually all over my craft room table right now because I'm redoing all the armor. So I keep looking at it and being like, I have to you have to put that back on.
The mask, the jacket, the like you said, the armor, everything about this one though, when I get into DC, when I get into the storylines, this one's just dark, and I love me some Red Hood. I love one, for whatever reason, this I call them buckets because I'm a Star Wars guy, but this helmet, this particular is fantastic. So how did you get into this and this cost for this one?
This is actually a really fun story because my favorite Robin is Tim.
Okay.
Tim Drake, Red Robin, love him to death. And I really, really wanted to cosplay him. But I'm very, very tall, and Tim is a little boy. You know, I guess actually he's probably about the same, not the point. So I convinced my other best friend, she's a little bit taller than me and very gangly. And I was like, so you're going to cosplay Dick Grayson, so I can cosplay Tim Drake. And she was like, done. And then we had another friend who was like, oh, I really want to cosplay Damien. So we were like, done, we have this group. And then we had a third or a fourth girl who was like, I'd only do it if I could be Tim. And by that point, I'd already had the entire group together, and I was like, okay, I don't know much about Jason at this point, but I guess I'm going to learn everything about him. And I ended up being the only one who actually finished their cosplay. Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. Damien finished as well. But both the Tim, we never even saw the Tim at the convention, and my other friend, unfortunately, didn't get her costume done, so it ended up just being me as Red Hood, and it was, that's such a powerful costume to wear.
It's a powerful costume. I like your settings. You know, you get some rooftop shots in here, but again, this one pulled off quite well. Again, your mashup for Booster Gold and how you pulled that together, but your Red Hood, I'm all about this one. This one's pretty badass.
Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. But sticking with our theme, and I like your term. You said I'm a casual cosplayer. Now, don't take me wrong. This isn't casual to me. This is actually a very dedicated. And you said it. You're going to learn everything you can about your character to understand what it is you're doing. But I really like when you said the term casual in our conversation. This is what popped up, and I don't know why. This is your impulse. So. Tell me about it, because I'm a big Flash fan, but there's 106 Flashes, and I'm making that number up, of course. But there are, in my game, you've got 1,000 different types of Flashes to use in the game. But tell me about your impulse, because it's not casual, but this is a fun character. So tell me about it.
That's literally all it is. He's just so much fun. How can you not want to be this hyperactive little creature that he is? He's so much fun, and I see a lot of my young self in him. So he's just, it was great to be able to just release all this energy that I had while I was at the convention, and it's so much fun. I want to ask you about that, because I should have grabbed the picture. There was a very large DC gathering, or a very large group gathering picture that y'all took, and you were in like one of the bottom corners. There was other people in the shot as well. But you looked like you probably were running around all day as the Impulse in that energy kind of environment. So tell me about it. What's it like to go to a con as any character, let alone as an Impulse? But what's it like to walk through a con when you're in cosplay? Powerful and exciting and amazing. I'm actually a very shy person, and I'm not very good at speaking. But, you know, when you can put on a costume and a character, it really lets you kind of let part of a personality that you maybe sometimes, you know, shove down. So, like, sorry.
No, you're
not
good
at speaking.
You're okay.
But with Impulse, it's like that fun zaniness that I can do. And he's also a really fun character specifically because the people who are big fans of Impulse are big fans of Impulse. And I mean, the Impulse series was so dark and deep, and it's just amazing to meet somebody and like actually have one of those real conversations about. He's just a really fun character. But and then on the flip side of that, on the flip side of that, walking through the hall as like Red Hood, as Jason, it's really easy to get into that kind of stride and that like
swagger, right? You got a little bit of swagger in your step where you're just, you know, you've got. Do you wear the Red Hood? Do you wear the Kasan when you go through?
Yeah, I do. And I walk into things, so it's not. It kind of breaks that feeling. But oh yeah, I'll walk through the hall in the whole costume. It's amazing.
So I got to tell you, Lucy, so when I went through your picks and I saw what you've got, and I'm going to pull one more up here. This is what I'll call a diversity pick, because I think this is Mass Effect. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then down here on the bottom, I think if I read your picture, it was, I don't know if you can see that, if I'm in your way.
Yeah. So those two are, is there two?
There should be two.
Okay.
Impulse
there's Impulse behind you. Yeah, those two are two girls from Life is Strange.
Life is Strange.
So the brunette is Max, who was the protagonist of the first one, and then yes, and then the blonde is Rachel, who wasn't actually directly in the first game, but she was like a big kind of red herring character. She's very good game. My goodness.
So again, when I talk about having a casual, this isn't to me casual. This is some kick-ass cosplay and some time put in, some effort put in when you go get to walk through and go through the con. Now I've got one more picture I'm not going to show because I don't know if it's you. There's a hot dog picture, and I don't want to talk about hot dog. Is that you?
No, that's my husband.
Okay, this is your husband. So I apologize for bringing him up, but I had to know what this thing was. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm the one who made that costume, and it's from Life is Strange as well. It's,
so it's part of the series.
It is.
Okay.
He's this really, I think he's much more ingrained in the fandom now, but when I made it, he was like this really little, what do you call it? Like the hidden package?
Yeah. Like you buy your DLC, DCO, yeah.
It was just like a hidden joke throughout the series for like people who noticed. Like, because it's quite a serious game, and as you're playing it, you start to see this little hot dog guy everywhere, and you're like, kind of don't wish that was who's here. But yeah, no, that was so much fun. We also did a boudoir shoot with him in the hot dog suit.
I saw that.
That's one that you can just keep to yourself.
I did, but I don't want to bring it up. I didn't know who that was or what that was going on there. I saw the hot dog sprawled out on it was good.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Lucy, so as I bring guests on, as I see people come on here, one, I ask them, how'd you get into cosplay? And it's always fun for me to hear somebody's backstory, your origin story, as maybe I'll call it your origin story, as you found your way into this world. And you said, I'm going to give one episode. Oh, wait, I'm going to go one time. And then after that, you're hooked, and here we are. You're on YouTube talking about your passion for cosplay and your amazing craft at cosplay. So what's your process for putting something together? Like, do you work in a particular, you said you sew, so you seamstress, you've got a you got a serger in the other room, you got a singer in the other room. What do you got going on? Yep.
I have 3 machines at the moment. I had a 4th, but I gave it to somebody who's just starting cosplay because you really don't need 4 sewing machines.
Pay it forward, right? Yep. Pay it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have 3 machines in the room. In fact, my entire other room is just a cosplay haven. I could try to give you a tour of that in a moment if you'd like.
I can only imagine between new costs out, old costs you're updating or recreating or going back into. I have a machine in the other room. I've got very few skills. My mother is a seamstress, so when I go visit my mom, she's got the machine, the embroiderer, she's got the serger, she's got the digitizing hoop. She can send an image from her phone and plug it into her, and she can do almost anything. And so we have a lot of fun because we have ideas that we would like, oh, I want to do this. So I'm a Star Wars guy. I'm working on an old man Luke. I'm going to work on a episode 7, 8 kind of old man Luke.
With the little clips.
Yep, I'm gonna grow my beard out and get my hood and do my belt because I'm kind of putting on some weight. I've got the gray that's already naturally built in, so I could pull off a pretty good old man Luke at this point. So I totally love to hear those origin stories. I love to see where you came from. I love to see how you're doing it, whether it's a lot of people are into 3D printing or they're into the foam armor or they're into almost anything. And then some people are into, my last 2 guests were into Goodwill cosplay, where they can go and put something together right off the rack from a Goodwill, you know? And that to me is amazing that those possibilities are out there for any level of cosplayer, any level of passion. And then there might be a day where you need a Goodwill cosplay that you're like, I got to go throw something together. And for $6, you know, you can go run down and find that perfect item.
I think there's like a lot of pressure sometimes in cosplay that people are like, you have to make all your own costumes. You have to. And it's such bullshit. Like
it is bullshit. I agree. It is bullshit. It should be any level of whatever, right?
Yeah, it absolutely should.
Yep.
You know, for me, the image you have behind you is actually quite a good example. Like the shepherd I have, everything in there down from the very first layer is all hand sewn. This was like this. The undersuit was a double layered sports mesh so that it like caught the light in a certain way, and then everything here was all foam smith from hand. Like it was a really intensive cosplay to make and wear. And then in the other corner, the Rachel Amber where I'm smoking, I just already owned those clothes.
Right.
Like I was like, I really like Rachel, and I kind of feel like doing a photo shoot. I think not that the photo shoot I did of her before that. I was just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna put this on and see what happens. And both of those are completely legitimate costumes.
Yep.
Like I get really
I do this a lot because I like to talk about the ability for anybody to be a cosplayer. So Lucy, I really appreciate exactly that. Any level can be input for a cosplay. Do you remember Jurassic World when the pterodactyls are coming down and there was the dude in the Hawaiian shirt and he like got up with his margarita?
Yeah.
Right? But that was that year, every con I went to, there was a group of people walking around with margaritas and their Hawaiian shirt. They went to Panama Jack's and picked up a $30 shirt, or they went to Goodwill and picked up a 25-cent shirt and carried around a margarita. And it was a perfect cosplay. So I love the idea that we could have very serious and very committed cosplayers that are going to put the time in. My last guests were a married couple from Japan, and they are in SCA, so the Society for Creative Anachronism. And I didn't know what that meant. I had to Google it. But basically, they only create authentic from the time period. So like if they're building something from 1800, there were no industrial machines, so they literally do it all by hand. If they're doing the Game of Thrones, he does his own metal work, and him and his wife learn to do the leathering, where they actually form the leather and they do all the work. They hand rivet, they do all that. That's great. That's what they want to do. And then other people, myself, I'm still going to go to the Goodwill and pick it up. And both of them are going to walk into a con, and both of them are going to have a good time, and both of them are going to be adored by the fans. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Like, it doesn't have to be, but just go out and have fun, right? Just get out there and enjoy the con. So it's a beautiful world. I get to do this. I like I said, this is our first time meeting, right? This is our first interaction. But the fact that I get to engage and talk with you and then share your craft, your passion, and share you with the world, that's what I get to do. So I think I got a hell of a job where I get to come on and do this and meet everybody. And I'm looking forward to maybe not 2020 because this is a crazy ass year and everything's kind of, gone to hell. But hopefully 2021 gets a little bit better and we can get out there and have some fun and go to some cons. And I'm going to walk down a con and be like, look at that. I know who that is. I'll be like, hey, cool. And I get to meet everybody in person. So I think it's a really cool time. I don't know if I would have done this if I was, if I had a job. I obviously wouldn't have done this, but I had no job. So it's nice I get to sit here all day and edit and play on my computer. It's a good time. But for you, you said you've been doing this for almost 15 years?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
I think that's amazing. And I don't know this. I don't want to give away any of your business. If I got to edit this, we can do that. But did you happen to meet your husband through cosplay?
No, actually, but he was we were both cosplayers, and we met in a mall.
Okay. There was a picture where you were circled and I thought he was circled and I didn't know if that was like
Oh,
an interaction.
that's actually my boyfriend. I'm sorry. I have two.
Oh,
All of us were cosplayers before any of us met. But I
gotcha.
met my husband 10 years ago in a mall. He was already cosplaying. And then I met my boyfriend, I guess 2 years ago now at that convention where he was Red Hood and I was Impulse.
I thought that
But
was
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Very cool.
it's so much fun cosplaying with a partner too.
And so, and I was glad to have my couple on from Japan yesterday. They came out and it was the day was different. It was Sunday morning for them. It was Saturday night for me or whatever. But I appreciate them sharing with us. But do me a favor. This is your forum. This is your time. Is there anything you want to say to your audience? And I say your audience, but is there anything you want to say to your audience as we and you got that furrowed brow, like, don't put that on me. Don't put that juju on me. Is there anything you want to say to your audience?
I mean, not really, but if I could say something to any cosplayers or people watching this, just
Sure.
like let everybody have fun. It's so easy in this hobby to like get yourself into a headspace where you don't think you're good enough, or you start judging other people and saying they're not good enough, or you decide that once you start deciding that there's standards on a hobby like this, nobody has fun anymore. So make sure that you're like really diving into the fun part, and the cosplay part is the part that comes after, you know?
And I think that's beautiful. I think that's a great way to look at this. Go in there to have fun. Go in there to just do it to the way you want to do it, and then the fun will happen. Everybody else will just kind of take you along and roll with you as you go through this. There's nothing better than going through a con and just seeing, oh, look at that, or oh, look at who that is, or the droids drive. I'm a Star Wars guy. The droids will drive by. You get your little toaster oven, or you'll get R2D2 driving by. And I'm 43, and I still get kind of geeked out and fanboy, and stuff like that. And I get to either meet my actors and actresses who play the roles, or I get to meet the people that get to do my last con. Do you remember the Return to Oz? So
No.
not Wizard of Oz and not the prequel Oz, but there was a 80s movie, Return to Oz, with this really weird Tin Man and a like jack-o'-lantern, and the entire family cosplayed it. Mom, dad, 3 kids, the whole family, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was so cool to watch as they came through, and everybody knew it was that 80s Return to Oz. My favorite one was husband and wife, and they were Jay and Silent Bob, and he didn't talk. He had the trench coat on, the long hair. He played Silent Bob, and he just stood around with a cigarette, and he just kind of pointed at people, and he was like, yeah, and he never said anything. But and it was a trench coat and a fake beard and a long wig, and I mean, it was the easiest one to do. People walk through that con and love Jay and Silent Bob, It was just kind of cool. So I think it's a really fun world that I get to be a part of now, to just share with y'all and share you all with the world. And so I appreciate you being here today. Absolutely. It was a good time.
Well, I appreciate you getting involved and finding out stuff and meeting people. That's really wonderful. It's a beautiful community.
It is. And I will tell you, the connections are really cool because everybody has somebody that they've got a connection to, whether it's a prop maker or someone that I met somebody in the Star Wars world that only makes like the buckets, and that's all he does. But it's a full-time gig, and there's thousands of people that are in, the queue waiting to get their pieces. And it's really cool to see that. And then when you get to travel and see the con, like, oh, I knew that person from Florida. I met them at Dragon Con in Georgia, or whatever those look like. And you're all over the globe and having a good time with these cons. Lucy, I appreciate you being here today. Again, this was our first time meeting, so I do appreciate you taking the time out to have a shift after work and then come home and sit on the computer and talk to some Yahoo on the computer. But I appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you so much for asking me to come speak. This was fun.
Good. It'll be a little while, but we'll finish this up. We'll get some editing done. Anything you want to put in like the liner notes, if you have anybody that maybe, if these are professional photos, if you have an artist or anyone that took these, if we need to give credit where credit's due, I want to make sure we give those credits. So you'll now keep in touch on the Instagram, and we'll just kind of keep that in there. But I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody come back for another episode of Creative Cosplay Corner, and we will catch you guys on the flip flop.